So welcome to Challenge the Road, here with Essex's finest,
Dean Macy,
the Escort Cosworth.
So
Come on, tell me what you know about this car, because this is one of my favourites, if not my favourite ever car. Launched in sort of 1992. I would have been 18.
Yeah,
it's
I would
fantastic.
have been. Oh, would I have even been born?
What?
Not an awful lot, to be fair. I know that two of my friends had them. I know that both of those friends wouldn't let me drive them. I know because I couldn't afford this or the RS 2000, I ended up with an Escort GTI, which I absolutely adored, in red, lowered 30mm, with 17-inch rims and two 10-inch span pass subs in the back.
You ever driven one of these?
No, I haven't.
So you're close though, weren't you, to driving?
Yeah. I've driven every other Cosworth. Well, the Sierra. But other than that, no, I haven't drove one. And I've got to be honest, I've never seen one in this colour, and I think it's striking.
It's really nice.
Really
so
lovely
blue,
colour.
Same as Jeremy Clarkson had.
Right.
And I love the colour.
Yeah, really nice
and
colour, mate.
It's very compact, isn't it now? It doesn't feel that big, but inside it feels really roomy.
They only ever look big, I think, because of the spoiler.
Yeah.
Because actually the Escort wasn't ever a really big car anyway, was it? It had to be big enough for me to get inside one for a couple of years that I had mine. But yeah, it's one of those cars that takes you back. Reminds me of pool training when I was a lifeguard on Wednesday night. Which one are you going to get hold of? I don't know. Whichever one will have it. You know, that sort of era in my life.
But it's such a fantastic looking car, I think, and it's only getting better. And we said about the actual body shape, that you've only got the roof and the doors are the only thing from the Mark V Escort.
Can I ask you a serious question?
Yeah.
Now? Have you opened the sunroof to air it out, or was it like
did
my
smell
Escort?
a little bit old.
Or was it like my Escort, whereby it wouldn't shut?
No, it does smell a little bit old in there, but a nice, you know, sort of 30-year-old smell in there.
Wow.
Because it has hardly been used. You know, I think it only done 1,000 miles in the last sort of 15 years.
Really?
So it's a very low mileage car.
Yeah.
But I say it's one of my
Where'd you find these
all-time
gems, man?
I don't know, I get lucky, don't I, sometimes?
Wife, kids, do they ever see you?
Not really, I'm always on that iPad buying cars.
Oh, I thought he was going to say sim.
I
am sim buying cars.
So I think, for me, obviously, I told you that, well, I was going to tell you that story about me getting an Escort diesel instead of an Escort Cosworth.
Well, no, you told me you was going to tell me about an Escort diesel story, but I didn't think it was going to be that severe.
Well, I put a deposit on this car.
Right.
I would have been about 21, 22. I just wanted this car. I put the £1,000 down. Realised
£1,000 as the deposit for a car. That's showing how old we
Realised
are.
I couldn't afford it.
Right.
Got all worried about it and sent my friend in to say, can you get my money back? I don't want to go in there and lose face. I'd seen this car, Stormont's Tunbridge Wells, right in the front, just keep driving up, looking at it. And then he come back in, he said, I've done the deal to help. He said, well, what did you do? He said, well, I couldn't get your £1,000 back, but I put the £1,000 on an Escort diesel 1.6, so you've got that instead. Oh, so I had to go and sign the paperwork, got a silver 1.6 diesel.
Really?
And I've never driven an Escort Cosworth since then, or had one. I've wanted to buy one, never got one. So I'm really excited to drive.
This is going to be, I mean, I know these segments are supposed to only be short, 15, 20 minutes long, right? But I'm going to tell you my Escort RS 2000 story now, which is very similar. Whereby I don't know how old I was, I might have been 18 or 19, but I drove past this showroom down the London Road in Southend, and I saw an RS 2000 in like a greeny version to this. Stunning it was. And I went in and I put a refundable deposit down. Well, what I was told was a refundable deposit that didn't turn out to be a refundable deposit. And out of the fact that I couldn't afford the RS 2000, that's how I got my GTI.
It was four-wheel drive, wasn't it? Because it was similar to, was it a similar time then?
I don't think it was, but it was just the 1.8 version.
Right, okay.
I think it was the 1. Whereas mine was the 1. No,
so you ended up with the one with the big GTI badge on the back, the Escort.
Of course I did.
Yeah. And you lowered it down.
Of course I did.
Got it all sporty.
Of course I did. Made it sound, because it didn't sound very good to drive, I made it sound very good with my drum and bass music.
What do you think it's going to feel like to drive now? Because you've driven all these modern cars we've got.
Nostalgia.
What do you think?
I'm hoping a bit of nostalgia, to be fair. But like I said, I've never driven a Cosy, so I'm expecting it to be sort of, I mean, my one didn't have Recaros like that in it, so it had bucket seats but not Recaros and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm hoping it brings back some fond memories.
I wondered whether it would be a disappointment, and I have driven it and it's not, and I'm really pleased with that, because you know, when you meet your heroes and you do stuff and you think, and I've got a lot of cars here to choose from, it has been really good. So I'm excited to get you in it, because I know you've never driven one. and I think you're going to really enjoy it. And
It's
actually,
again
it's a super
like
car.
very similar to the Subarus, where I was desperate to buy one, and I never bit the bullet and did it. And I'm grateful that I didn't, because I bought other stuff that has appreciated as opposed to I say depreciated. Christ, probably would have been a better investment. But
Well, we looked at the retail on these, didn't we? 17.5 plus VAT.
Was it?
Yeah. So 23 was this model with a LUP.
Yeah, but this is similar in the vein that I always kind of wanted one, but it was way out of my league. And like I said, I couldn't afford the RS 2000, so I ended up with an Escort GTI. So driving one it'll be nice, because after wanting one for so many years, look, I even put my white socks on in homage to Essex finest. I got my black stilettos in there as well. Not stilettos, what are they called?
Well, should we get out on the road?
Absolutely.
Let's give it a drive. Okay,
Too much talking,
let's get
not
out
enough
and have a
driving.
drive. So we're out, Escort Cosworth, my favourite car, I think. It's got to be one of my favourites. What does it feel like already? Good ride, isn't it? And these are quite big bumps.
It doesn't feel old. And do you know what, right? When you look at it from the outside, you think, oh, it's a track car, rally car, come road car. But actually, when you get inside one of these, you realise these were very much built for the road, and possibly with back seats and stuff, like actually families, you know, like they were super compliant.
Well, there feels lots of room in here, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it looked quite small and compact.
Well, you could easily fit a family of 4 with someone quite small in the middle as well. You know, it's really is a comfortable road.
And you got 4-wheel drive.
Yeah,
you know, that's what you want now. The winter's here, but yeah, it's quite impressive actually. So this is a small turbo. So the first 2,500 for homologation were big turbo.
Right.
And then they reverted to the small turbo to make it better on the road.
Right. Okay.
Because the first one was you needed a lot of revs, but there was a motorsport car as well with the first 2,500, so they could take that shell and actually turn it into a rally car.
Right.
So this is a Lux version, which gives you them extras on the sunroof, air conditioning, so it wouldn't have had aircon in the motorsport. I really like it. I feel like it flows with the road like the modern cars. And it feels special, like the wing. It's exciting.
It is a very smooth ride. That's what it is. And I suppose it shows its age, because sporty cars nowadays are very hard and fast and firm, aren't they? That's what they tend to be. A bit more track focused. But this is, like I said, it is very much like it's been designed for the road. It's just got the extra turbo and the extra grunt that anyone that was.
And you feel that bit of roll, don't you, on the corner, which is quite nice, because it sort of almost pulls you round.
I'm trying to think back to like the stages though. So this is the 2-litre turbo, and then the RS 2000 that I desperately wanted was the 2-litre 24 valve, I think, and then my Escort GTI would have been a 1.8 16 valve, something like that. I'm trying to go back an awful long way, and I'm not very good with what goes on the numbers under the body.
And there was a 4x4 2000, wasn't there?
Yes, there was.
So I remember the badging on the back of that.
Yeah, I remember that as well, yeah. Well, that mate. Oh, I'm going back so many years, but...
So they didn't actually make that many of these, because the problem was, obviously, they were getting stolen so much. You see how that flows there?
Yeah, nice.
So it's about 7,000 were made worldwide.
Because the thing is, where the car's got a little bit of movement in it, like roll, you expect the car to give way, but it doesn't, does it?
No, it just grips and goes.
Yeah, it's nice.
And with these 16-inch tyres, 50 profile, that's why you're getting the compliance of the ride. Obviously nowadays with the cars, you're always getting punches and stuff like that, you feel like you can just go across everything. I really, really like it. I would have it as a daily again.
It feels like you could drive it as a daily, but I'm like, you wouldn't want to stick another 30,000 miles on it, would you? Bless it.
First car to have downforce on the front and the back with that big wing, but not huge amounts of downforce from the wing. Originally, you wanted to have 2 wings.
Did you drive one before you owned this one?
No.
Had you ever driven one?
No.
So
I've never driven one.
Answer me this. Obviously, it's different in the passenger seat to in the driver's seat. What was your honest first impressions when you got behind it? When you got behind the wheel, what was you expecting, and what was your
I was
reaction?
expecting it to feel quite sort of numb, was what all the reviews I've seen of it.
Right.
But I haven't found that yet. The steering, there's a little bit of play, and I thought it would be very understeery in the corners.
Right.
And I haven't found that.
Didn't feel that then?
No. I was really impressed with it. I thought, I really like this car.
What about the punch? What about the actual acceleration?
It feels actually quite nice, because if you're second and you do go, it seems to, I thought it would rev and then peter off.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
I personally thought there'd been a bit more turbo lag and a bit more of a once it kicked in.
It goes. Whereas it's very linear.
Yeah, it is. It's
in what it does.
Yeah, it's a bit more like the 22B than the standard Subarus. Because that's all I was sort of picturing it against. You know,
the only
like
thing I've found is
lag.
gear change. So there's a Sierra gear change still, and it feels a bit long and a little, not loose, a little bit loose, I suppose. But the pickup, and it goes.
Yeah.
They did tune them with the original engine. They got them to 1,000 horsepower. That was how tunable with the turbo, but obviously it was the cars then were built for rallying. They had to build 2,500 to make this car, so they put in a lot of trick stuff.
You can kind of do that with. Well, I think I'm right in saying you can do that with a Mark III RS Focus. You can give that some serious grunt as well. Can't you? You can take that well over 400 brake horsepower. I know that for a fact. Maybe not 1,000 though. That seems excessive, but I'll tell you what I would say. This is nicer than I thought it was going to be.
Well, it's
as cool as I thought, but
it's
nicer.
one of the coolest cars.
It's a nice car. Yeah,
I love it. Right, let's transfer.
Yeah, baby. I think I remember my Escort being quite low, the steering wheel.
It doesn't have much adjustment. Keep going. Yeah, it doesn't have much adjustment actually. I don't think it comes towards you. It just goes. But it's got feel good factor. It's an Escort Cosworth.
Yeah, it is cool. It is cool. Let me just have a look at that wheel.
Go right. Yeah.
But you see less of it than I thought, or maybe it's because I sit up so bloody high. But you see the shark fin part.
I love it. I love it.
It's nice. So everything's so light. The throttle's light. The accelerator's quite light. The clutch pedal's quite light.
You're not going to stall it. It's got. I like the steering wheel actually. I think this is upgraded a bit. The other one had a blue badge. I saw the earlier ones. I like these seats though because they're Recaro. These are like the best of the best.
The white dials remind me of mine.
Oh, they glow up at night, don't they?
And it's like a fluorescent greeny sort of colour. And I remember thinking, that's the coolest thing in the world. I'll never sell this because I love this.
Well, these seats, I was looking them up. They're still about £2,000 now.
Are they?
But the car was only 23 grand.
Go straight up.
Yeah. It's great, isn't it?
Oh, do you know what I like as well? When you accelerate, you can feel everything. You can feel the car working.
Yeah,
through
exactly.
the gear knob. You know, it's like, yeah.
Life's good. That's how it feels.
Life's good. Yeah.
But 30 years it's taken me to get one. So, I'm so pleased I have now. I remember looking at one and it was £11,000.
It is a little boaty, isn't it? But it's still
a little bit, but still feels okay,
still
doesn't
pointy.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, really pointy. Like that nose turns in lovely, you know.
And it feels mega safe.
Yeah, that's
well at the moment.
Which is completely the opposite to what the 22B made me feel like.
22B, you have to really. We're going to do a video on them later.
Great question. You've got to sell one. 22B. Well, you've got to keep one. 22B or this. It's like choosing between your children, isn't it? Go for it.
I like this. I think this looks better than a 22B because I like the arches and the way and the rear spoiler and that. It'd be tough. The 22B is just the best car in the world to drive. Don't ask me that question. I can't.
Go on. No. You got to pick one.
No, I can't.
Oh.
Nice, isn't it?
Yeah, and there is a bit of lag.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, you probably should have been second in, but there is a little bit of lag. But when the turbo kicks in, it isn't that ferocious whoosh up your backside like in a Subaru. It is much more refined.
I feel so comfortable in here.
Yeah.
I just feel like I would feel like they can just keep driving.
That's not a dangerous car in any way, shape or form. It's not. And yeah, the steering's a bit light, but
you have in your head it would be dangerous.
Well, I thought
because it's an RS Cosworth.
Exactly. I thought it a bit more like the Subaru than it is. It's a lot more like my old Escort GTI than the Subaru, and that was safe as houses. Great car, you know. It was a family car, isn't it? It's a sporty family car, sporty hatch.
So great performance, great ride. Gearbox the only thing?
No,
You still happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy with it
Yeah.
because it reminds me of what that's what they were like.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's not like it's got baggy over time.
No.
It's like that's what they were like. You know, it is a little bit loose. It is a little, but it's not hard.
No.
Right? Yeah, there's a bit of play there, but when you want the gear, you can find it. Like super easy. You were saying this is the standard.
Yeah, so they had a
So
standard
there was obviously
car.
other editions.
Yeah, so they made a Monte Carlo edition for winning the Monte Carlo, and they made 200 of them. But
Right.
all they changed was the wheels, some different colours as well. I think they had black, green, and like a jewel violet, which I
Right.
really like. That was the one I really wanted. But there's
Right.
actually no difference in performance really, just bigger
Yeah.
rims, and like a motorsport alloy. But they've done a Mickey Biasion edition as well,
Right.
a Martini edition, which I think they only made maybe 200, not very many.
Right.
They made another edition which they said they were going to do 20 cars, but they only made one. They didn't.
Oh, really?
It was in a yellow, for a celebration of a WRC.
Christ, how much would that
event.
go now?
Well, exactly. Yeah. So they only made one of them. And as I say, they made a Martini one, so there's not that many. They did make an Arrows Escort Cosworth as well,
Right.
with the Formula One team, but again, it just had the decals of Arrows. I don't think it had much performance-wise.
Right. Okay.
But heavily used in Group A, these cars. We've got a Group A car, which is Stuart's doing at the moment, which we can get out on the road. But yeah, I think it's talking about values. I know we were chatting before, but
Yeah.
I think all these Fords are going up. Well, with the Heritage Edition on the Focus,
Yeah.
the Mark III, you was going to get one, weren't you? And
I was very close to getting one through
Yeah.
lockdown, yeah, and I probably should have done actually, because that car is now worth significantly more than what I was going to pay for it. but it does make you realise that
Yeah.
you don't need 50 grand. I mean,
No.
obviously a Cossy's what, 70, 80, 90 grand,
Yeah.
something like that, but you don't need £50,000 plus to get a really excellent
well, the
car
Mark
for the road.
IIs are going up and up at the moment. But the big thing was when Ford announced that they're not doing the RS model anymore.
Right.
They went up like 10,000 overnight, 15,000, because that's gone now. So there's
Yeah.
no more RS. What was planned was they were bringing out an RS, I think this year, and
Yes.
it was going to be 400 horsepower, all-wheel drive.
It's one of the things that
monster.
held me back from getting.
Oh, was it?
Yes.
Yeah. And
'cause
then
I
they
was-
didn't.
I was thinking to myself, well,
Yeah, and
maybe I
not
should
the
have.
Heritage. And then, of course, they said, we're not going to make it, and we're going to get rid of the RS brand.
Yeah.
So it went all the other way. And then the Mark 1s have started to go up. But I still think these are undervalued.
Given
Even
time, this will be. Yeah, I can see. Given time, this will be worth significantly more. How many of these were made?
So 7,145.
Oh, quite a few.
Yeah, but the first 2,500, a lot of them were used for motorsport.
Right. Okay.
In the UK left, there's about 1,000, but there's only 255 on the road.
Right.
So there's not. It does seem to me like quite a few cars, but how many of them Sawn ones actually are running and
Around?
work? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it would be a lot less. But I think also what I'm finding when I was trying to buy one, I don't think people sell them.
Well, no.
And I said, once you got one, think of a car that's rallying that era, PlayStation,
Yeah.
dirt rally. I mean, the new WRC, I think, has got this. WRC 10's got this car in it. These games we're all playing now and then had this car on.
if you've got one of these now, you shouldn't be selling it.
No.
You shouldn't be. I mean, if money's an option, then like you need it, then obviously. But
I think
this,
what
this
people-
should be hung on to as long as you possibly can. Looking at certainly what's happening with the Imprezas, and with this, like you said, being so iconic. Yeah, I could see this going up. I could see this doubling.
Yeah, and I think when you look at the sort of prices and the monies that people are paying for cars, the new cars are going up a lot anyway in price just naturally.
Yeah.
Whether that's an electric car or not, you're still 50, 100 grand, aren't you? Anyway, and with the price of materials and the chip shortage. But I think that what happens is that people who do sell have probably paid 20,000 for one. It's gone to 80, and they think,
Yeah, they just
I'm
see the
making
60 grand
£60,000.
profit. Yeah.
But what they need to look at is the more long term. Like, I think they're going to go, once they go over 100 and it goes to collectors,
Yeah.
it stays there
Yeah.
because the collectors don't sell.
Well, I would have thought the people that are spending 80 grand on a Cosy now are people like yourself.
Yeah.
And like you said, I ain't selling this. I mean, you ain't selling it for sentimental reasons, but you know, I just don't see why you would even want to. Anyway,
oh, just
such a rare car.
Tail and just how it drives. Yeah. It's so easy.
It's such a cool.
So easy. You can just go for a drive.
Yeah.
And you feel like, oh wow, you know. Yeah, really exciting. Well, let's head back and then we'll do a conclusion. So we're back. It really is an icon, this car, isn't it?
I love it.
And I know you mentioned you'd have this over the Aston, which I was quite.
Yeah, I would because it reminds me of a time in my life when I drove a very similar car to this, not as fast, obviously, not as expensive as well, but it's that, like, the fond memories that it brings back. And do you know what I'm quite pleased about is that when we took the 22B out, you said, oh, I wanted to buy one of them over the last few years, but when it got to 60 and then 80 and then 90,000 quid, I thought, oh, I've missed the boat. And then you had to bite the bullet at some point.
Yeah.
I feel like you've got in at those lower prices on this, because I don't know how many there are around, how many there's going to be up on the market, but I do think this is going to be going skyward.
It was interesting when you said to me that question, would I have the 22B or this, and I couldn't answer it.
Have you thought about it?
And that, yeah, I still can't answer it. I was thinking, no, I think that, to me, this is a better looking car. That's just my opinion on it, because it was the car that, when the Subaru come out, obviously had no spoilers. The Subaru was sort of later on, but that era of 17, 18 years old, seeing this was like, whoa, what a car. I have to have one. Like, I have to have one. There's no, and then depositing one and then not getting it.
Do you know how weird it's like? I mean, I know that the spoiler is still a big wing, even nowadays, but it's kind of an understated looking car nowadays, isn't it? With what's on the market now and what we've got used to looking at and driving. Yet back in the day when they first come out, we were both of a very similar age, and you were like, oh my God. And now you look at it and I like it because it doesn't stand out as much. When you see it on the road, the people that appreciate it were the people that were right toe rags when they were 18 and these were new, but now are much more respectable people. Yeah,
and I feel like I've gone and bought the Matchbox car of this.
Yeah.
On, you know, last night. I thought I want and that was the thing. You've almost got the Matchbox car and it's just been blown up. It is absolutely stunning.
I loved it. I thought it'd be quicker.
Yeah.
But I'm not disappointed because everything else felt very familiar.
Yeah.
But it felt familiar when I was a teenager.
Well, when this came out,
nice
you
feeling.
think the Ferrari of its time was the same 0 to 60.
Yeah.
So if they had to bring one out now, he would have to do 2.8 seconds to 60 or something to compete with Ferrari.
Yeah.
So at the time, but I've really enjoyed driving it. Actually, I've driven it a few times, and it just brings a smile to my face every time. I just drive it and think, oh, this is
easy as well, though, isn't it?
Easy to drive.
And the other thing as well is
comfortable.
With some of your other cars, because they are so fast, you feel like you always want to take them to that sort of speed.
Yeah.
Whereas I wanted to put my foot down in this to see what it had under the bonnet. But I didn't care whether I drove it fast or not. I was just enjoying driving it.
Well, there's a guy I'm seeing tomorrow who's got one of these, and he's done 180,000 miles.
Right.
And he's had it for 20 years.
Really?
And it shows that you could drive them every day, and you could now. You could, if you had Apple CarPlay, you could just drive it every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the end of this video. Please like and subscribe to our channel. We've got more and more coming up. But yeah, it's been an excellent day. We won't talk about the front bumper and a little bit of hedge that you videoed of me.
Someone had a bit too much fun.
But yeah, great car. Really hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you next time.